Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcasting community by estate professionals for estate professionals, where we share the ideas and the access to people that help you work less, earn more, and do good in your community. If you get value in this free content, be sure to check out estateprofessionalsmastermind.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and free courses. To learn more, you can visit estateprofessionalsmastermind.com. Let's jump into this week's episode.
Welcome to our coaching call. This is the Probate Mastery real estate broker coaching call we do every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's so funny. I was talking to somebody today. They said, your call's on at 2. I'm thinking, what? 2 o'clock? No, I have a 3 o'clock call, but West Coast Pacific time is 11 o'clock and then 2 o'clock on the East Coast. And then we record it, though it's not on the public YouTube stream, but we do put pieces on YouTube as such. But this is really designed for people who are students and alumni of the Probate Mastery program with Chad Corbett, and or are paying to join into this program specifically. We have a few things on the website, probatemastery.com. Step one is for free, lifestyle career design by Chad Corbett. Talk about designing a lifestyle and designing a business that's going to support that lifestyle. Everyone in this call should have taken it already or take it as free. Free 99. Maybe if we charge money, more people would take it. I don't know. Number 2 is you're going to get certified Probate Mastery certification course. It's so funny because I saw an attorney this week bad-mouthing realtors who get certifications from a 3-hour class. That's true. The most prominent certification in California is 3 hours. I do think it's a good class. It teaches the basic forms from a great attorney. But Probate Mastery is a lot longer. I don't know how long it was. It was on demand. I want to say 15 hours, 20 hours. It's a lot of material. And it talks not just about the paperwork, but also kind of where to come from. And then 3 is earn attorney referrals now, how to build your business with attorney referrals. So all that's on the Probate Mastery website. We have a Facebook group, Estate Professionals Mastermind, about 600 people there. Come in here and ask questions and post material that's relevant, and love to have you guys participate in that group as well. And then separately, I host my own program, Probate Weekly, every Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, where I interview people about probate real estate. And I have my own probate group called Probate Experts, and that one's growing as well. Love to have you there. Lastly, I have been promoting this call. I'm going to stop doing it. Getprobate.cash. The reason why is in the past, it was more oriented towards realtors and investors and attorneys, but actually I've been picked up to partner with a national vendor. And we're going to move this to really being training for attorneys how to use this. Realtors are glad to register if you find out about it. I think it's a great program for you guys to learn how to use inheritance advances as a tool to get your business, but it's not something that we're going to be promoting because we really want to make it for attorneys and focus on that. Peter Marks says 13 hours for Probate Mastery. McKenna says 15 hours. So I'm not sure who's right there between McKenna and Peter. I'm not going to argue with either one of them, but it's certainly more than 3 hours. And the California program, I want to say, is about $300 or $400 for 3 hours, and it's worth taking if you're in California. But there's a difference between learning how to fill out some forms and really learning how to relate to people on a professional level. That's what we offer here. This call is designed for us as practitioners, us as people working the business in real estate, building businesses, not chasing commission checks, to share ideas, network together, learn best practices, encourage each other, walk through the failures, and help us move forward in building our business together. This was going on for a while, and I've taken over, but I'm a practitioner. I'm not a coach. I'm not a seller of digital services. I'm a real estate broker. I'm based in Los Angeles, building a national team of real estate experts in real estate sales across the country. I have 42 people in my downline. I myself list and sell property. I have 6 pending escrows, trying to get the 7th into escrow this week. I have 3 unsold listings, trying to get one of those into escrow this week. So, and I'm working on a new listing. So that's what I do every day is I work on getting properties listed and sold just like you. And we want to talk about how to do that. I need this call because it forces me to up my game. It's an opportunity for me to learn and network with new people. Learning from Melanie last week about you leveraging our expertise. And I've been saying this for years, and I've talked about, among other niches, nurses, but to have somebody actually doing it and seeing their success, it gives me the energy to promote to my team members who are in that space to continue to grow their businesses as well. So that's why we do this, and that's why I do it. I don't have any prepared material, though sometimes I'll throw out some stuff that I think is important and relevant to where we're at. But I did really want to make this interactive. So love to have you turn on your camera, love to have you introduce yourself. Put in the chat box your networking information, only if you want more business and want more referrals. Only participate in the call if you want to be more successful in life, you want to participate and add to the value and add to the game. So I'd love to have you either put in a chat box a question or raise your hand and participate. Okay, and Grace, your camera's not working. You know, Grace, I'll just share with you every listing I have, I think I've taken via Zoom, or I got the referral from Zoom or related video. So, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we all could say we didn't really have a camera hookup, we didn't have lighting, we didn't have microphones. I think today, the video ability to communicate with customers via video is as ubiquitous as the phone. And you got to be, I think, that on that game. And I've jumped on it right away. I have a paid Zoom account. I have a paid Restream account. I have a paid StreamYard account. I use Google Hangouts. I use Microsoft Teams. I want to talk to as many people as I can, and the video gives me a tool to do that. So don't mean to call you out negatively, but I would just challenge you. You want to be a professional, let's make sure we have professional tools and use them as a professional. So just like, I'll know you guys, I'm not a handy guy. Like I can't even hang, I can't change a faceplate. When I hang pictures, I call somebody to do that for me. I'm just not handy. I see guys with trucks with all the tools in it. I fantasize it would be cool to be a truck guy with a toolkit in the back. But I do know that when I go by professional construction sites, the people working on them have professional tools, not like the hammer I have at my house or the screwdriver I have. They have like real stuff. Similarly, I have real stuff when it comes to communicating with people. Just like my customers might not have proper video, proper screens, proper whatever. I'm a professional. You'd expect me to show up with the right tools. And I think these are amongst my most important tools. Thank you, Courtney. Great to see you. And Courtney is another great example who came on this call and shared his success going to court. That's another niche and another way to do business. I think it's fantastic. And to have somebody on this call talk about and share with you guys, I think is extremely valuable. Okay. Questions, challenges, problems. How can I help you guys today? It's a coaching call. And it's meant to be of assistance. How can I help you guys? Anybody? On my other channel, Probate Weekly, normally I do an interview about once of every 6 or 8 calls. I try to do a little bit of coaching. There I talked about building your business. And just, I guess, while we're starting, I have a conversation. I know that, I think it was Mario said Jason said you're new. I have this discussion a lot with realtors who are failing or struggling. And I just had this one with somebody. And interesting, she's not on this call, I think. Let me just double check before I go too far on that. Let me see here. Where are we today? I don't think she's on this call. And I'm not going to say her name, and I don't want to embarrass her. Yeah, she's on this call. It's interesting. She's been in the business 5 years. She's close to business. And so she called me because through my company, eXp Realty, they promote me company-wide. And she wanted to run some ideas by me. And here she's struggling. And her problem is when she talks to customers, they don't appreciate her or respect her. And I'll tell you the reason why is that it's not the customer's fault, it's our fault. We don't create enough value in the eyes of the customer or the prospect to respect us. Whenever anybody doesn't treat you properly, it's almost always you didn't create the impression that you think you created. Now it's different with your kids. Sometimes they just mouth off and you have to remind them who the parent is. But I would say that when it comes to business, it's never the customer's fault. It's our fault. We either attracted somebody we don't want as a prospect, or we didn't create the impression on them that we need to create the results we wanted. And so she was saying to me something a lot of realtors parrot, which is customers don't appreciate us as realtors. And the answer is right, because the average realtor doesn't have any real value. The average out of the 1 million realtors in the country, however many there are, half of them haven't closed a deal in a year. And then of those that have closed a deal or two in the last year, you're only closing a deal or two a year. Like there are people who've sold and bought more houses than you have. And the one or two you do have might be just kind of acts as a stump on you. What value do you create for your customer? The opportunity of probate is to really learn about something that creates value in the eyes of your customer so that they will appreciate you. If you're the probate nurse, it's about learning how to communicate with families and elderly in a way that is effective and gets results. Or it's how to bring value to them, resources, procedures they otherwise don't know about because they don't have your experience. Courtney going to court creates value for customers who've never been to court, creates value for attorneys who don't go to court that often, creates value for attorneys who go to court a lot, but not probate court. They go to criminal court, they go to civil court, but they don't know the judge. They don't know where to go. They don't know where the coffee is. And again, I've never been to his courthouse. They're all a little different, but you get the picture. When we have value to create for people, we're treated as valuable. When we don't have value and we just blabber what we hear from other sources, why should somebody treat you with respect? If you watch my YouTube channel every Monday, I put out a video on the real estate market. And my basic thesis is the real estate news is destructive. In fact, I would say to you, whether you're a left or right, whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you love Trump or hate Trump, you would probably agree that the news is bad, right? Don't we all agree? Everybody kind of agrees with that. It's like both sides agree at the same time, the news is misleading. I'm going to tell you that the real estate news is worse than the political news. Because really, if you want to think about what happens now, Zillow, which used to be a data source, is now just an advertising engine. And they put out data that they give to news sources to put out, really just designed to get people to contact Zillow. And so the whole thing is just, and then Zillow advertises on their website. The whole thing is just very incestuous. I did one this week where I showed how Zillow talks about things to improve a house, and then the advertising site runs ads on things that have nothing to do with what Zillow said. Zillow said houses with pizza ovens sell for more than other houses. Well, of course, that's kind of obvious. But as stupid as that is, the website I was pointing out was selling a link to a portable pizza oven. The portable pizza oven does not increase the value of the house by definition because the seller takes it with them like a toaster. So what I want to say all that is, don't be surprised if people don't appreciate and respect you because you're a realtor. That's what we created. But rather than wish the business was easier, you be harder on yourself, you be better. And that way people treat you better. And so I spend all my time every day either communicating to people about my expertise or learning about, and that's why I do this call, to learn from some of you, again, the probate nurse and going to court in different venues out to business and to learn the principles that are true. Zillow's Jim Cramer of real estate. I won't say that Zillow is that. Zillow's smart enough not to make predictions that can be proven that are wrong. But Jim Cramer is a whole nother animal. It's just really pathetic. But he makes a fortune and gets a lot of attention, right? And so that's the problem with news today is it's about attention and getting a few people to act. It's not about really educating. When I grew up, we looked at the news as a source of education. It is not today. The last place you can learn anything is on news sources. Okay, Roger says, great week. Also, he had a new probate listing this week. Fantastic. Is that two new listings, or great week 2 new listings, or whatever? But whatever it is, Roger, sounds great. If you want to share the details, love to hear the details. And did I get a new listing last week? No, I got a great hot lead I talked to today. I can't list it. His hearing is until July, but I got a hot new listing and got a referral. I referred out in Las Vegas because I not licensed yet. I don't have a team member yet in Las Vegas. So I referred one out that we're hoping to get listed, I think, today or tomorrow. Who's got a victory? Who's got a challenge you want to talk about and get some help on? How can I help you guys?
Can we get a word in edgewise?
Please go right ahead. Give it a try.
It's Roger here.
Hey, Roger.
Yes, that was 2 as TWO. Sometimes my spelling is dyslexic. Anyway, what put it over the top on these is I had funds available to repair them. It seems like every single one is in rough shape. And the offer to help them get top dollar is working.
So, Roger, where do you sell houses in California, right? In Alameda, California?
Yes. Alameda County, Fremont, Newark, Union City.
And so how do you help them get the money to do the improvements?
I have the money.
Okay.
So
And go ahead, I'm sorry.
it gives you the ability to make the choices.
So when you say you have the money, so you advance it yourself? Do you do it as a loan? Do you do it at what format? Do you mind sharing? How do you you just advance it and get paid back as a listing agent? Do you create a lien? What do you do?
Now, I use the listing agreement as a note.
Okay.
And that way you have some control, and you can go back to the title company and issue a demand. And so far, it has worked out fine for several years.
Fantastic. So what Roger's saying, just to translate a little bit, and we in California are very blessed to have, I think, the best forms, well, no question, the best forms for probate in the country, because we have actually addendums for probate. I don't think any other state does. We have 3 probate forms, specifically 1 listing, 1 selling, and 1 advisory that goes to both. And then our listing forms are also very good, I think. And what he's saying is in our standard listing form, it has an agreement that if you advance funds that the seller agrees to, that you get paid back. So I've done the same as Roger. So I think that I would challenge you all to think about how you can add that tool to your toolbox. So one is you either have cash or establish a credit card that you can access to advance funds for the seller with the idea of getting paid back at the close of escrow. So I do that. I have a separate credit card. I'll advance funds on that card. I get points on it. And then I invoice the customer during the escrow process and get paid back at the close of escrow to pay back. Most commonly, I do it that way. Sometimes, so that's one. That's great, Roger. Another tool you might consider, if you don't have that ability, is probate advances. If there's expenses the customer is going to spend that will net them more money by a lot. So this is not typical for, say, paint, carpet, and those things. I'm talking about fences and city liens and paying attorney's fees to get squatters out, boarding up a property. The probate bond is going to cost thousands of dollars. So probate advance is a tool that I've used tremendously to give the customer some of their advance of their inheritance. They're not going to get that money in California until we close escrow. And then after that, till the probate closes. That could be 6 months or a year later. Well, I can give them $10,000 now. It does cost them $13,000 or $14,000, but they have the money now, which helps them get the attorney, the bond, full authority instead of limited authority, gets the squatter out or whatever it needs to be. That's the second way. So the first tool Roger's saying is he advances the money, cash or credit card. Second tool would be a probate advance. A third tool is there services that do that. So, for example, one of the most prominent services is Curbio. Curbio is a company that will come in and do a quote, and they'll tell your customer, we'll do the property and we'll charge $10,000, $20,000. And then they have a list of their contractors, and they because the volume have a certain number of them, and then they'll do the work and they bill at escrow and you get paid back your escrow. Of course, you could create your own. There's other services like Curbio, and you can also create your own. You can get a contractor who agrees to do work and bill through the escrow process. So those are the 3 tools. You advance the money, cash or credit card. Second, advance inheritance. And third would be a contractor or the vendor advance the money and get paid back through escrow. Well, good job, Roger. And so how do you discuss this with your client? What's that discussion sound like?
I basically sit down and talk to them about the market as is, and the market, full market value. And I do bring him a CMA. And it seems like everybody wants more money, so it's an easy sale.
Well, and so I think that's a great approach, right? It's not for us to tell the customer what they want. It's for us to find what the customer's problem is and to solve it. Now, many customers just want the house sold, and there's some expenses they need taken care of. Some in their mind want top dollar, and they think they're going to get there by fixing certain things up. Sometimes we see things that they can fix up. So it depends on how we advise our client, but that's fantastic and a great way to work it. Roger, what types of things do you advance for, and what will you not advance for?
Oh, gosh, the list. I have bought a client a car who didn't have transportation. I've paid homeowners association dues. I've paid property taxes. I've paid off home loans. You solve problems.
There you go.
I had
Very
one that went into foreclosure. I had to buy it out of foreclosure. I'd already invested carpet, paint, and appliances. Didn't want to lose it, so you solve the problem.
Got it. Well, okay. So, and I think that's the key. The key stats here is we have a customer. The customer's a problem. Our job is to solve it. And there's various ways and various tools. And so we want to have as many tools as we can, and we want to dig up as many customer problems as we can. So thanks, Roger. Thanks for sharing all that.
No problem.
Courtney Rollins, let's get you in here. Where are you at? Let's see. Oh, you're up. Now you're gone.
Hey, Bill. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, there you are. Hold on. Let me bring you in. There you are. What's up, Courtney? A little eye candy for the ladies.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on? I'm hanging in there, man. Appreciate everything that you're doing. I haven't been able to jump on the call, but I've listened to the recordings on Spotify, and it really just keeps me fueled in our community. So important. But I did have a couple of I think interesting stories to share. Going to the probate office is so valuable, and again, I'm just appreciative of you all encouraging that. About a month ago, I went in, and some lady stopped me and said, "Hey, I know you. I've seen you from YouTube videos." And all. I was like, "Wow, cool!" And so we connected. I met with her outside of the court and really just went over the inventory with her. And I realized, I'm starting to know this stuff, because things that were very now simple to me through repetition and study was the aliens to her. So that was awesome. About 2 weeks later, she calls me afterwards and says, "Hey, I need help. I'm trying to get rid of this mobile home that I live 2 hours away from. I don't want to sell the land. I just want to sell the home." And so I said, I've never worked in mobile homes. I'll see what I can do. And I just explained to her what I do and put it under contract for about $15K, because it was fresh, it was beautiful, it was nice that everything was in there. And I obviously put it out too low, because oh my God, my Facebook Marketplace, my phone was just blowing up. 2 days later, found a buyer. It was so cool because of the relationship we had. Went to the state credit union because we had to notarize it. First of all, I sent it to my title company because I didn't know that with a car, it's just a simple, notarize a deed title, and it almost feels like it's like something's wrong here, or something like I did something right. But my attorney said, really, according to all you need to do is notarize the title. So we went to her credit union, had her notarize it.
Oh, hold on a second, Courtney. That sounds like a video you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have to record like a recap of what took place. And so she, because I was let her know, hey, I'm about to deed over to him, and this is how I make my funds, because this or that. So it was like $9,000 in 15-minute, 20-minute transaction. Everything so weird, so simple, so easy. So I'm super geeked about that. I challenge myself now to go. I know you went for a whole year straight. I'm picking 90 days just because I like the sound, and I'm putting it out there on Facebook for a little bit of social, I get content and social accountability. So for the next 90 days straight. I was going 2 days in a week, but now I'm going 90 days in a row just to keep generating that cool stuff. One other thing also is another guy that one of the first leads I got from the probate court asked me to buy his property, and unfortunately I locked it up too high. Had to get a reduction because I think of the rapport we established and the service we established. He gave me a 55K reduction. Like, wow. And then now we've just restructured to a subject to deal. So now I'm going to step in. I think I put 7K, and I get to step in and take over the payment. And so I'm in seeking funds for the rehab portion of it. So if anyone knows anyone who was interested in partnering or being the lending partner, I'll definitely love to share the details of the deal offline and rock and roll there. But thanks, man.
Well, and for those of you who haven't followed the saga of Courtney Rollins, Courtney thought it might be a good idea to go to the probate court, where people filing probate to sell their house, and attorneys with clients who want to sell their house, and court staff who deal with people every day who might want to sell their house, work and congregate. By going there to being around all these people who want to sell property, he's found a couple leads of. Imagine that.
Right. Exactly, right. It's so fun. I've heard about 4 or 5 times already. Oh, I don't have any issues. It's just trying to sell this property here. Okay, all right. Might be able to help with that.
Might be able to help with that. Look at that. So again, that's again not for everybody, but he went there and took to it right away. That's the same thing I did when I started. I don't do that now because my court closed and I had to relaunch my business. But I think it's a great way to do business with her. So Courtney, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. Okay, I saw another hand up. I think I got some questions in the box. Okay, let me get the questions knocked out here. HW Hartshorn uses Curbio. Do you want to jump in and talk about your experience at Curbio? I've seen them marketed. They're a vendor at my company, but I've never personally done a deal with them. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about your experience?
Hi, everybody. I actually am just beginning to use Curbio, and I got a call from a client that I thought I'd lost from last summer, and she called me and she said, I'm ready to sell. And I said, great. So I am hoping to use Curbio in that, and it's not a probate deal. She's just a senior. She's moving. I'm a real estate agent in the Baltimore area, and I specialize in helping seniors transition into retirement communities or other places where they feel like they want to live at this time in their life. And so I haven't had a chance to sit down with this woman yet, but I did sell a house across the street. This area of Baltimore is all built by the same contractor. Excellent, excellent, excellent construction. But I think Curbio might be able to help her get some more money out of her sale. So I am planning to propose Curbio to her. Probably will be mostly cosmetic stuff. I believe that she is a responsible homeowner and has taken good care of her home, just from the conversations that I have had with her. So stay tuned.
I would say not only should you stay tuned, but please come back and report back your experience with. Love to hear about it. Okay.
I'd be delighted. I'd be delighted. I look forward to this. It's made for probate. Made for probate.
Your name is not HW. What's your name?
I'm Heather.
Heather.
It's
Good.
very long to write it all out. So HW is just shorter.
Well, you're welcome to put you on. I should make sure that I know who I'm talking to. Okay, so Heather, please, definitely, I'd love to have you report back your experience so we can share with that, okay?
I'd be delighted. And I see there's a question about fees and costs related to Curbio. Curbio.com, check them out. They're out of Potomac, Maryland, which is DC Metro.
But they're a national firm. I mean, they market all across the country. And
truly, they do. Yeah, but their home base is Potomac, Maryland.
Great. Well, thanks so much. If anybody has experience using Curbio or any other national resource, please feel free to jump in and share with us. Love to hear that. Okay. Question from that also Heather asked was, do you recommend the PR continue to pay mortgage and home insurance until the home is sold? It depends on the case. Depends how much money they have, how dear the cash is. I've had estates where they had a bank account and they're just drawing on that money. They had control over that and they're able to use that money. Yes, obviously make the payments until the property is sold. But I've had other cases where they didn't have any cash. It's not worth a probate advance unless you're avoiding foreclosure or avoiding some sort of a tax sale. So it depends on the case. I would say case by case, we should meet with our clients to determine if they should continue to make the payments or not, but it's going to vary based on every case. And once that's for the fees and costs, again, that's going to vary based on how much work you have. They come out and do an estimate for you. But you should check it out. Check out Curbio. I know Winston, they're very active in Orange County. I know for sure. Okay, who else has a question, challenge? I think I got all the questions on the chat box. Anybody else have any questions, challenges I can help you guys with today? This is meant to be a coaching call, so rather than paying some high-priced coach, you got me. And the truth is, rather than a coach who used to do business is going to tell you what they think you should do or what they used to do back when dinosaurs walked on the earth, I can tell you what I'm doing today for my business. So Shelly has a great question. Shelly, are you available to jump in here as well? I don't know. You asked a great question, and I think there's a little more to it than typed in. Let's see.
Hi, I'm here. Hello.
Okay. What's funny is I ask you guys, and then you unmute yourself, and you pop to the top of the list. I can't find you. So hold on. There you go. Okay. So Shelly, where do you sell real estate?
In beautiful Northern California, Mountain House, Tracy, San Joaquin County, Alameda County. We're a suburb of the Bay Area.
Got it. And so her question you posted was, what do we do with sellers who are thinking about it forever? Objection handling advice, please. Right? So how does this come up to you? How do you get that particular objection?
Well, in this, older people, they want to, I'll think about it and I'm kind of be like, okay, like, well, I understand you want to think about it. We've been thinking about it for a long time now. Like, what is it? Obviously, you don't want to make a mistake. Is that right? Like, so I'm just curious your take to gently move sellers to sign the contract and the paperwork and get the ball rolling so that they're not fearful of making a mistake.
Okay. So in communication, we always want to be careful not to make other people wrong. So when you said that, it's because you want to make a mistake, right? Well, if that's wrong, you've made them wrong. If that's right, you've made them wrong for feeling that way, right? And I know we're just playing here on the phone. So, but sometimes the way we play on the phone is how we really do talk to customers. You got to be a little careful. So an objection, when you talk about objection handling, you want to think about it more as communication. I'm communicating with somebody who has a problem. I'm trying to position myself to help them. There's only two possibilities. There's conditions and there's objections. Conditions are they can't do anything right now for some reason. Maybe it's not stated yet to you yet. Objections are anything else. The most classic objection in all sales is I want to think about it. Every salesperson, think about anybody this phone call sell anything else. I was in the mortgage business. Maybe I'll sell. I sold policeman ball tickets, and maybe I'll sell anything else besides me. And have customers say, "I want to think about it." Is that not the most classic objection in all sales? So, in general, any objection we get, there's a 3-step way that we communicate with them to communicate that. 3 steps. Number 1, we repeat the objection. The biggest problem we have is people don't think we listen because we don't listen. And if we at least repeat the answer, they know that we heard them. So Shelly, if I said to you, do you want to go and get together? And you said, well, I'm going to think about it. I would say, okay, you want to think about it. How does it make you feel when I say that? Okay, Shelly, you want to think about it.
Fine.
How does it make you feel?
Fine.
I notice my tonality. I don't say, you want to think about it? Or I said to you, okay, I get it. You want to think about it.
Yeah.
Right? The tonality goes downswing, not upswing. Upswing is a question. I'm repeating what you say, but I'm expressing disbelief. You want to think about it? Versus you want to think about it. You want to think about it. You're entitled to do whatever you want to do. You're a grown woman, right?
Right.
Number 1. So first step is repeat what they say. Number 2 is to affirm, make it okay. We're not here to judge them. If they're making the wrong decision, our job is to help educate them. But the first step in educating is making them feel okay with what they have. How do we do that? We affirm. So you want to think about it. I understand many people do. And the third step is to ask the next open-ended question. So I'm curious, what is your plans with the property?
And then they said, well, I want to sell it if I can get the right price.
Oh, great. You want to sell it if you got the right price. That's great. So what might the right price be for you?
Well, I don't know, as much as I can get. I'd like to sell it for 1.3. I know they're not selling for that amount, so I'm just thinking about it.
Okay. So 1.3 million, but you kind of want to think about it. That makes a lot of sense to me. That's exactly why I'd like to get together with you and share you the data, and we can make a decision together. What's better for you tomorrow, Wednesday at 4 o'clock, or is 5 o'clock better?
Oh, yeah, we got together. I'm familiar with the data. Yep. I just need to think about it.
Well, my experience is people that we're role playing, you're coming back. In my experience is people don't go back to think about it. Right. Once they give you an answer.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm frustrated because I'm like, what do you want to? We've been thinking about it, Nolan.
Okay. So I think when you're more skilled, I think you'll find that happens less. They're going to come out because there's some other objection they're just not giving you yet. And you have not been skillful enough to get them to, you haven't created the intimacy where they feel comfortable telling you what it is. So it's a skill. And I'd say the other part is for all of us, and the biggest failure of everybody on this call, and I'm included, though I work at it every day, is our system of staying in touch with these people for the rest of our careers isn't as good as it should be. Really, if we talk to 10 people like that every day, and 9 of them don't do anything right now, but we kept in touch with them, many of them 2 years later and call you back and say, hey, by the way, Shelley, I talked to you 2 years ago. You lost track of me, but I get your emails. I see you on Facebook. I saw your YouTube channel. I saw you on Instagram. We're ready to move forward. I want to sell the property. And so to answer your question, I'd say 2 things. One is you got to work on your skill of handling objections. It is a skill. The better you're at it, the more will come out, the more business you'll have. And second, for those that are impossible, you need to have a system to nurture them because, and here's the other thing, Shelley, the average person, from the day they start looking at doing something, buying or selling property, to the day they actually sign a contract to buy or sell, what do you think that time period is on average?
6 to 9 months. I mean, Nolan
The average
has
is
called me
2
back.
years. The average is 2 years.
Yeah, Nolan's
Now
called me back. He's a past client of mine, 2-time past client, and this is like the 3rd time he's called me back. I met with him twice.
He's
So
begging.
he just keeps saying he wants to think about it. I'm
So,
like,
so here you're hearing the wrong messaging. What he's saying is he's desperate for you to figure out how to help him open up, but you haven't hit the right button yet.
yeah. So how do I figure out what's the right, because I asked him, okay, is there something else stopping you from listing your home right now? Because, why not take advantage of the market? It's the prime market right now.
Well, stop. See, you ask a question, then you start answering yourself. You got to talk less. You answer the question. The first part, what you said was fine. If it's going to stop you from selling your house, stop. Listen to the answer. You can't then suggest what you think the possible answer is.
Okay.
I wish I could replay this, but that's exactly what you did.
When I was talking to him, I stopped.
Well, hold on. Here's the rule. Here's the role we role play. When I coach in role play, you can't answer in role play one way and then say, but in real life, I do it differently. Because either you really don't, you just don't hear yourself, or you do, and then role playing with me is a waste of your time. And so what I advise you to, the other thing I would advise you to do is the number one tip. When I was a full-time coach, and I would charge $1,000 a month for people who were my coaching clients, the most valuable thing I did for them was got them to record their phone calls. Because it's amazing when you hear yourself, what you hear yourself say, that you just don't believe you say. And what you've done twice now is, with me, is in a role play, you ask a question, but before you give me a chance to even a split-second answer, you suggest what you think the answer is. And if you do that with clients, they're going to hate you because you're not listening. You're not giving them a chance to talk. They're not going to open up. And I if you want to say you don't do that in real life, okay, I'm not here to beat you up, but I just find it hard to believe you do it with me twice and not do it in real life.
I could totally understand, where you're coming from when you say that. I think you're saying that, like, when I'm when I'm prospecting and role playing with people, that I should ask a question and let them respond, right?
Well, I think we all talk too much. I have behind me here, if you can see right there, the little brown thing, that's a chess clock. So a chess clock has 2 clocks on it. It's a metaphor. If you ever play competitive chess, you each have a certain amount of time that you're allowed to play. When it's your turn, after you move your turn, you push the button down, your opponent's clock is running. And when they move, they push the button down and your time's running. And if you run out of time, you lose. In sales, it's the opposite. The more we get the other person to talk, the smarter they think we are. We think we impress them by what we say. What we really do is impress them by what we get them to say. People will convince themselves. You're never going to convince them. And so when you ask a question and then answer it, you are really putting yourself backwards 3 steps.
Yeah.
It's a common mistake people make in life, in all relationships, in all communication, and particularly. And like I said, you did it with me twice. You might want to watch the replay of this and catch yourself. you might want to record yourself, and maybe you'll find you do it more often than you think you do. But I'm just saying, I see salespeople, I've heard salespeople hundreds and hundreds of times do that. It's a common thing we do. We know the answer, so we're going to tell them the answer. But if we tell them the answer, then they can't discover the answer. And when they discover it, they think that you're smart. When you tell them, they just tune out.
Yeah, they tune out. Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. It's like, has there ever been a time when you thought you were like giving the backstory, trying to speed things up so you could just jump to the chase on the Zoom?
Well, sometimes you need to give the story for people to get interested, but what you don't want to do is ask the question and then give the story. Because now you've just made your question painful. They have an answer for you and you're answering it.
Yeah, so that time is kind of like this time. I think I was just trying to give you the backstory. That's why I was answering the question, just to speed things up, but I should have let it just unfold.
I'm not here to say you're not a great salesperson, but what I'm going to say is how we are in practice is how we are in real life more often than not. And when I've had hundreds of agents tell me, well, I'm not that way in real life, and they record themselves, and that's exactly how they are. Because we don't recognize it. We just don't pay attention.
Yeah,
we want people to accept us as we are.
I didn't take your comments. I didn't give your comments that meaning at all.
I said I think that there's only two answers to this. One is you have to improve your skill and you'll get a higher percentage of those people to do business with you. And the second is, of those who don't do business with you right away, you need to be better at nurturing them because they take longer to get to a decision point than we would ever imagine. If you do both those things and work on them every day and get better at both of those, you'll have massive success.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Good. Well, my wife says I'm Mr. Right, Mr. Always freaking right. So we'll see. Okay, Shelley, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for jumping. I know it's got a little personal here. I hope it wasn't too rough.
Not rough at all.
Okay, good. Thanks. Okay, and then so where are we here? Okay, that's a little more than we can talk about. When somebody goes missing, it's okay. So Peter points out in Peterson, Colorado, when somebody goes missing, it's usually years before the judge will declare the person legally deceased. It would probably for Texas law in your case. Yeah, I would say that generally speaking, the longer time makes it more likely to go back to conservatorship. But sometimes there are extenuating circumstances. If somebody was on a trip to Africa and it's reported that their group was missing, or they're reported as having left and not having come back, and there's some evidence, there are cases where courts will determine somebody missing for legal purposes to protect the assets for the rest of the estate, whether it be protecting their kids or their heirs or potential heirs. So in California, I can't speak to Colorado or Texas, but in California, I would say each case is different. And definitely want to talk to a local attorney to get the right answer on that for your case. No, well, I'm definitely the one person who goes back to, I'll think about it. Okay. We all get that. If you're not getting that objection, you're not in the business. Everybody has to learn how to deal with, I'll think about it, and get good at that. In every sales case, that's just that's one. The other one is your price, right? Everybody gets asked, well, what's your commission? What's your price? And that's because we all, as buyers, we all have our default script that we've used over years. Our parents taught us, our friends taught us, or we picked up on our own. And so many of us would just default to, well, I just want to think about it. And oftentimes that's just a nice way of saying, I'll never work with you. I don't like you. I hate you. You smell, you look funny. I don't like your personality. It could be a million reasons why I'm never going to work with you. But there are people who say to you, I'll think about it, because they're too polite or they think it'll hurt your feelings, to actually get down to the reality, which is they're never going to work with you. So some of the, I want to think about it. Some of those will never work with you. Some of them will. Most of them, in my experience, will. And in fact, some of those who say they'll never work with you will, if you find out what the problem is, and solve it. You know, for example, I worked with eXp Realty back when we were 11,000 agents nationwide. And I would get, well, I don't want to work with you guys. I want to work with a larger company. I learned how to handle that objection handler. So people who would not work with me, when they learned about who we were, would work with me. So again, I'd say that the vast majority of I'll think about it are just an objection handler. Some are, I'll never work with you, and they're polite. Most of them are, you have to just get more skillful at getting them to open up. And Vince says it goes into your CMA and keep in touch. Yeah, you need to, everybody wants to think about it. Give them things to think about. I mean, they're asking for educational material. And that's another a golden opportunity to say, hey, Shelley, I do send out information about the real estate market to my clients like you every week to keep you up to date. Would you like me to send you information about the real estate market? Great. What's your best email address? They just gave you permission to send them email regularly. So if they want to think about it, make sure you also give them the opportunity to think about it with more information to help them get to it. The other thing I also use, kind of my last chance on I'll think about it is, I know oftentimes people say, I'll think about it, but we're all busy. We actually don't ever get a chance to think about it. We get pressured into having to make a decision. Is there something in particular that you need to think about, or is this just not the time you're ready to make a commitment yet? And try to flesh out where there is another option. Winston says, ask more questions and listen. Yes, definitely. And Vince says, stop closing. Yeah, I think that's definitely right. We don't want to close them. We want to open them up to find out what the real issue is. Shelley, we've collected okay, so McKenna's pointing out that we have all kinds of sales and prospecting information on the website, and she has that linked in the chat. And let's see, that's the visual, back to chat, call email. Okay, fine. Okay, I think I'm up to date with all the questions. I don't see any hands up. We have just a couple minutes left. Anybody have any more questions or challenges, or was it helpful to talk about objection handlers? Not that I'm strong-minded on the subject. I used to coach just cold calling and objection handlers and presentations all day long. That was my specialty. And I've changed my philosophy a little bit. I was a Mike Ferry trained agent. And I think that, excuse me, there's a lot of good fundamentals there. Hold on a second. There's a lot of good fundamentals there. But today my focus is much more on being a service and recognizing that if they're not getting it, it's because I'm deficient and I'm not giving the service they're looking for. Don says, I never object to objection handling. Okay, Don. Don, I wouldn't try a career as a comedian. I would stick to selling real estate. You and Larry Smith group are both failing as comedians. Okay, yes. And Vince says, right, it's about being a salesperson and become a trusted resource. I agree. I look myself as a business person, and real estate is the service I'm offering customers. I'm not a salesperson. I have a sales activity in my business, but I figure you need to kind of sell yourself if you want to work with me. And if you don't, that's okay. If you have enough people you're talking to, then you don't really have to sell anybody. You can pick those that want to work with you. Okay, I think we'll call it a wrap for today. Just a quick rerun through. The resources are available for free and at low cost. ProbateMastery.com is the sponsoring website, Chad Corbett and his program. But for free, lifestyle and career design. It's a great program. Just click on it, register, and you can take that course with Chad on how to design the lifestyle and career that you want to match up, which is, I think, critical. I've built my career, my business around my schedule, not around somebody else's. And then if you want to get certified, Probate Mastery certification course is either 13 or 15 hours, a lot of material. I think it's 13, 15 hours of material, but it takes a long time to get through if you do the homework and do the things he assigns you to do. Or step 3 is the Earn course, Earn Attorney Referrals Now. It's a way to get business from attorneys. I'm actually a partial teacher or one of the consultants on that program. And then you join for free the Estate Professionals Mastermind. We have over 6,600 members there. Ask your questions there. Continue the conversation. If you have questions, objections you can't get with, deal with it there. And then separately, I host my own. I'm Bill Gross. I host Probate Weekly. Go to probateweekly.com. Every Thursday, 4 p.m., I interview mostly people in the business. You can see past episodes at episodes.probateweekly.com. And then I have my own Facebook group, which is Probate Experts. Everybody's welcome to join. I have 2,600 members there. Love to have you ask your questions and continue the conversation there as well. So hopefully that's helpful today. We do this call every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. This is a class for students and alumni of the Probate Mastery program, as well as people paid to be part of the coaching program. Love to have you as part of this program. Thank you for participating. Thank you, Sherry and Heather and Shelley and Pete and everybody else who participated. I'm sure I missed a couple. Winston. Thank you all and Don, thank you all for your help today. Make it a great week. We'll talk to you guys soon.